The stock market crash. Oh boy. Or really, it's just doing like a coil right now, a decision coil. But we look at this coil because it looks like it wants to make a big move real soon. Don't know which way. So let's do a big macro episode, cover all the indicators as quickly as possible. Like, share, subscribe, all that crap if you want. Right. So anyway, we're out here on the S&P. This is a weekly chart. You can see the 2008 crash back here. So just sort of the bull run here. You got this monster bull channel. We're ripping through what, 1, 2, 3, 4 channels, and we're just now jumping into the 5th channel. So this is a really interesting spot. You can see when we jumped into the 4th channel, we had our COVID pullback. But this was like low in the bull, in this bullish channel. And we've painted a downtrend line. And don't ignore that. This is a very real downtrend. If we do have like a massive banking failure and a huge contraction, something like that, like this line is right here, and then we have a big downside target. It's like 14. That would be like a 70% something crash. That's entirely possible anytime over the next 2 years or something if we had a huge banking collapse. This is the target, this downtrend line, especially at support. Anyway, without getting like too ridiculously bearish, let's just get in on the chart here, because we haven't really done much of a bear move. I mean, we had like one big red candle, and here's what it's doing now. Oh, let me first point out something that no one really, I've seen anyone point out. Like the shape of this pattern, you have your run up and then you have that notch and then your throw over into the crash, right? Look at this notch in the shape. It looks pretty similar. It's possible that we crash out of here. But the other crash here underneath and rejecting out of, it's like a mid-channel spot. It's not that powerful. Like we're at the top of the channel here. But we're also jumping into a whole new range. So, I mean, the S&P is trying to jump up into this range here. And I was wondering if we got like a coil on top, I mean, we could do a freaking parabolic, that would probably blow off. But I was wondering if it's going to do that. But we pulled back. But we didn't crash at all. And I was watching it today as we threw a tail down here. Like it looked like it wanted to freaking crash out of here. So, I mean, if we had painted a red bar below today, it would have looked pretty scary. But right now, nothing too crazy. Like, I mean, all we've done is we tested both the bull green channel and we tested the blue, generic bull channels. We pulled back and we broke them. We jumped on top. We're jumping on top. So this is a bunch of jumping on top, which is generally pretty bullish. A pretty bullish setup. But I'll look at the VIX in a minute. But all we've got so far is some pretty big coils. It's just like an indecision coiling area. But usually when you coil tight like that, you're about to make a pretty big move. Especially with the VIX moving up, that means all the market makers and everything are pricing in a pretty big move into the options premiums, like calls and puts and stuff are going to get a lot more expensive now. But anyway, the S&P is not terrifying yet. It hasn't like painted a bear move. It has like fallen off of like the super continuation parabolic like melt up that I was considering, whatever it was, a week ago or something. Like we're just kind of in between, indecisive. Let's look at some indicators. The NASDAQ, not really an indicator, but the NASDAQ has all the FANG stocks concentrated. And so you can see here that the NAS is at resistance, which is usually kind of bad, right? But it's holding here for now. So it means people are moving into FANG stocks, which could be a little bit of a defensive move as other things pulled down. For instance, the IWM took an absolute crap. So the IWM looked like it was going to try to go bullish and get back into like super nonsense stock territory, because this is full of meme stocks and zombie companies that have no profits. There's a lot of financials in here also, which we'll look at in a second, but the IWM taking a crap and the NASDAQ getting a bigger market share. And you can look at like the NASDAQ versus the S&P here. And so this is an indicator where you can see how strong the NASDAQ and sort of the FANG stocks are relative to the whole market. And so it continues to get stronger, which is a consolidation into less and less stocks. It's sort of a defensive play as we go up towards the top of the bubble, right? So it does look like we're still on the front side of the bubble. We're still doing the general bubble dynamics where you're consolidating into less and less stocks. But here's the big one, I think, is the Treasuries. So the Treasuries are trying to make a bullish breakout to the upside, which I think is the opposite of what anyone has said in the last forever. Nobody thinks this is happening, and it is happening, or at least it's threatening to do it right now. And let me talk about the knock-on effects of this happening. This is a deflationary move. This will bring interest rates down when the Treasuries trade up. Like, that's definite. But something that nobody has really pointed out that's really important is that Bitcoin and Treasuries have been trading pretty much opposite. And this rip up in Treasuries was a surprise, and that's when Bitcoin crashed. As soon as this uptrend was established in Treasuries, Bitcoin crashed, like whatever it was, 40, 50% or whatever. Bitcoin crashed on this rip. If this thing rips, like, Bitcoin is going to crash again. Nobody has said that, and it's doing it, like, right now. Like, it poked its head out, it fell back. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 tests, and now it's closing above it. Like, this looks like Treasuries want to rip. It might take a week or two for Treasuries to consolidate and start making that move. But I think if Treasuries consolidate and start making an up move, that is going to switch a bunch of big hedge funds macro view. That means that banking stocks are looking bad. That could be potentially why IWM is pulling down also, because it has a bunch of financials in it. But yeah, this is going to be a surprise deflationary move that is especially bad for Bitcoin. And then you see gold attempting to make a breakout and not quite making it out, but it's threatening a breakout. Gold has been trading with Treasuries recently, which is somewhat surprising, but it's been trading opposite to Bitcoin also. So if you see Treasuries and gold breaking out, that's opposite of Bitcoin movement. The DXY, the dollar, has been swinging relatively opposite to the stock market, although up moves in the DXY haven't been crashing the stock market. The stock market just kind of bulls. It's just like, how hard does it bull relative to the dollar? So I mean, the down move in the dollar was a huge vertical rip in the stock market, and then the weak up move in the dollar has been a weaker up move in the stock market, and then now the dollar is trying to go vertical. That's going to start threatening the stock market, and I think it has a little bit more to do of the level the dollar's at, more so than the exact move that it's making. But like, if we're getting into the 100 level, you know, 110, like if we're getting up here, like this is going to be really threatening the stock market, especially if we're making a vertical move. So definitely need to watch the dollar. Like, it can start threatening the stock market now. But it looks to me like the macro fundamentals are threatening Bitcoin more so than the stock market. Looks like the stock market is trying to consolidate more into the small stocks, and then it looks like we might get some moves out of the stock market into Treasuries, into gold, and out of Bitcoin. And actually, I wasn't really thinking about that for this video, but sort of the dynamics when you get near a top of a bubble is like the big growth risk assets will fall off before you get to the top of the bubble. And like, I've been saying for, I don't know, a year, that like the FANG stocks are like the big growth risk assets that should fall off before we get to the top of the bubble, but it's not. It's freaking Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the insane asset. That's like the crazy growth asset on this bubble. And I bet Bitcoin is what falls out before we go to the top. And it might do it now. Let me take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, so maybe I should zoom. Let me do a little bit bigger analysis on Bitcoin than I was thinking of doing right now. Okay, let me show the huge rubber band model. So, I mean, early bubble, you're making these huge parabolic rips, right? And we keep running into this sort of rainbow shape. I mean, people will call it the ribbon or whatever, like, but I've never seen anyone notice that, like, it actually sort of tops out and starts coming down at some point. Like, they just say, like, oh, the returns are decreasing a little bit or something, but, like, no, this thing is gonna turn over at some point. We're not quite at the top yet, but I mean, you can see early bubble, you rip into it, rip really hard. We got like this parabolic blow off here. We got a smaller parabolic blow off here, right? This time we ran into it and just flatted out. We didn't blow out of the top. We hit it again super weak, didn't blow out of the top. I think anyone that's expecting us to just blow out of the top and do a huge parabolic run on Bitcoin is gonna be disappointed. I think that we're far enough into the middle of this bubble, and I've been trying to tighten this bubble line onto where we're really reacting with it. Oh, I have auto on, so it's adjusting, but something like that. I think this is what we're doing here. And you can see, like, the last time we blew out, we jumped on top, it had some force. This time, we're kind of, we're still on our bubble trend, but the bubble trend is running into the top of our bubble, our rainbow here, and we're flattening out and we're not breaking out of the top. So this is way dangerous. There's two things that I see possible here. This is daily charts, but I mean, one is, like, we're painting a bear shelf right now. Like, that's dangerous. Treasuries are looking like they're going to break out. Like, if treasuries rip to the upside, the dollar rips to the upside, gold rips to the upside, Bitcoin is going to crash. Like, it is. And that could happen right now. It looks like it might actually do that. I'm definitely going to have to watch this. But, yeah, maybe Bitcoin is the thing that crashes out on our wave 3, and then we get the last run to the top of the bubble where, like, the FANG stocks are probably still okay. Like, those are safer assets this time. And we should probably see, like, miners and minerals and stuff coming in strong. So you might see, like, gold and silver and copper, basic materials. Maybe, like, the lithium energy stocks are still good. Like, maybe EVs and Teslas and stuff like that are still good. I'm trying to figure out the dynamic of what this bubble is doing. But a lot of people are saying, that stocks and Bitcoin are both risk-on assets that are trading together. And that really hasn't been true. Like, Bitcoin has been trading opposite to treasuries and gold, and the stock market has been trading opposite to the dollar, and they have not stayed correlated. Like, those inverse relationships have been holding up for a while. But anyway, yeah. Let me paint the two ideas, which would be, one, we're on a bear shelf now, and we just fall. We just fall out. Like, if all the opposite things go up, Bitcoin comes down, and you could kind of hop down this. You just hop down the downtrend line. We have a really solid downtrend line right here, and we just hop down it. No big deal. So this would be like 24. This is like breaking 20 here, something like that. You could break through it and jump back on top or something like that. But anyway, that is possible. But a lot of people expect this bubble to run out into almost the middle of next year. And people expect it to be a parabolic move at the end. I think people might get surprised here. I think it might not make it to the end of this year. Like, we might fall out of here now. But the other thing that looks pretty probable, we have a good amount of support here. If we pull back and we start going again, I mean, it's not going to be very far before we're getting in trouble again. And this is around 70, maybe March, April, something like that. I think Bitcoin will fall out that time. And this is the obvious down target there, which is whatever it is, 18 on the 18th of August. That's like, I think we're aimed for this spot in either case. It's just like, do we come down now and bounce down, or do we do the ascending? I kind of like this idea better because we've already done it once, and this is just like an ascending triangle top, which is a really easy bearish call if it does it. And we did one right here, and that was a really easy bearish call that I made when it happened, and we ripped down. But I don't know if we're gonna make it that far. You know what? Like, all the Bitcoin bulls are, well, if you're way bullish Bitcoin, you think it's going to like 400, like soon. If you're sort of a Bitcoin swing trader or something, and you're not really bullish or bearish, a lot of people think that it's gonna run out at least a few more months and at least get another high, which looks likely. But if you're a whale holding this thing right now, this would be a pretty good time to pull the rug on everyone, while even like the intermediate people are bullish. And I definitely have seen on-chain data that whales have started selling, but not like a flood of whales selling. But the first kind of signs that we're getting near a top. But I mean, there was a bunch of whale selling here too as well before we went up. So I mean, yeah, anyway, that is something I haven't really thought of. This is a cool video because I think Bitcoin might be the thing that pulls down on our wave 3, and then our wave 5 to the top of the bubble is still, like, the Qs are probably still going to be okay. And then we'll get a rotation into the late bubble things, which is miners, minerals, commodities, basic materials, things like that. So let's look at a couple other things. Okay, so Ethereum, well, the BITO, this is the new Bitcoin ETF, which is supposed to be, well, like Raw Paul will say, like, oh, wall of money is coming into Bitcoin, it's so bullish, blah, blah, blah. This is not bullish, and this chart's terrible, but the BITO is contracts to trade the price of Bitcoin without buying Bitcoin. So like, if you buy Bitcoin, you're reducing the supply, you're driving the price up. As soon as all the money goes into this side bet on the price and you're not actually buying Bitcoin, that's not bullish. Like, that's additional fake assets that aren't part of the real asset. That's like the paper silver contracts. You're not actually buying the silver, so you're not driving the price up. Like, the price of silver comes down, people are buying like the paper silver. It's like that. It's a fake asset that's like a side bet on the price of Bitcoin. That's not bullish. I don't think that's bullish. Then ETH, like the other coins, like if Bitcoin crashes, these will follow soon after. But usually what would happen, like with ETH, like Bitcoin will start to crash, Bitcoin will do a bull trap, and like that bull trap will be the top of Ethereum. Like Ethereum can do a new high while Bitcoin makes a lower high. It does that most of the time. So that's like, you know, same kind of thing. Like the Bitcoin dominance is high right now, so Bitcoin is like the trade, but Ethereum would follow. So maybe like a hedge to a Bitcoin down move would be like Ethereum would have a delay in the down move. I don't know. But anyway, that's like the general idea with Ethereum. And then the other like trash coins will just crash when Bitcoin crashes. Oh my goodness. All right, let me do two scenarios on Tesla. We're in a really cool area. Tesla, let me tighten this bubble up where the tops line up. There we go. So this bubble looks relatively similar to Bitcoin, actually. Like, this is a really hot bubble, and we're nowhere near the top. Like, we're pretty close to the top of this thing on Bitcoin. But if you look at this bubble, we aren't near the top, but we also just blew our bullish trend line. Like, we did stab here, but we jumped back on top. Usually when you blow the bull trend line, like, you don't pick it back up. And we blew it here, and we did make a move, which is more than I thought it was going to do once we blew the bull trend line. So in any case, like the bullish move is like boom, like up here, right? And that's going to be 2,500. It's over 2,000, and that's like in February, March, right? I don't think that's likely. I think that we already blew this bull trend line. I think we're trapped under a bearish line. And this is a pretty good support level, so we could consolidate in here. But whether we consolidate or not, just the shape of a bearish move would be something like an A, which could go to 450 maybe. Then you get a B wave, which would overthrow, which could go maybe back to 1,000. And then you get the C wave, which just follows the bear trend line to support. And this is like middle of 2023 at like 500 and something. Like this is what I actually think Tesla is going to do right now, is just do an ABC wave, and it just depends how early it starts. Yeah. And yeah, anyway, it's really volatile and it's crazy. But I think Tesla has blown the bull line now. I think it's like a 20% chance that we get back up here. And I mean, that's a huge move if it does do that. And the downside, if we don't, is also pretty big and more likely, it looks like, from this spot. Anyway, that's kind of the look at Tesla. But like we could be consolidating sideways here for several months on Tesla, which is boring. But there's a ton of related stocks to Tesla that would be pretty interesting in that case. So let's say the stock market is holding. Bitcoin is maybe crashing. Tesla is consolidating sideways. What happens with everything else in that case? Like ARK is kind of doing a bearish move. It's trying to break down. Doesn't look too crazy. This is a bunch of risky stocks that are not, like the IWM is pulling down. I think ARK is dangerous. ARK's like the non-safe part of the Qs, like without the fangs, is really dangerous in this scenario. I think ARK could get in big trouble. Then we have a bunch of alternative EV stocks. So right now, we had some EVs sort of coming in to support, a bunch of them at the same time. And it looked like it was going to be a really cool support area. Now it's, well, they're still kind of breaking out, but they're pulling through support. It's like getting dangerous, you know. Sometimes you pull through in slingshot. So we'll see. This week should be pretty interesting. Like workhorse, I think, is the sleeper short squeeze kind of EV lithium stock. Like they had so much bad news and SEC investigations and high short interest and like everything that you need to get a huge move in the surprising opposite direction. But also we've had we never had a volume spike in workhorse, but like Canoe got a volume spike and a big pop. Nikola got a volume spike and a big pop, and then now it's pulling through support, which is interesting. Arcimoto, FUV, didn't get much volume, and it's sort of doing a head and shoulders. Different chart. This one looks like it. This looks like an AB. It looks like a dangerous C wave. Rivian, well, the IPO is nuts and it's pulling back. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. You know, Solo looks like it's consolidating down. So things in the EV space are getting in trouble. A lot of them look like they're getting in trouble, but it may be a fake out, and we'll probably find out this week. REE, this one's not a similar chart at all. Like this thing is just ugly. I don't even have any kind of bullish lines for that thing. If it started to break out, I don't even know where to draw it. And then there's a bunch of other lithium kind of stocks, like charging stocks. This is not a bull flag. This is bearish. I don't like this shape. This is a blown bull trend. It's a bearish shape. Like, yeah, bull flags will jump on top of your bull trend line, or they'll jump on top of a channel. Like, we're not on top of anything. We're flagging and falling. Flagging. That looks false to me. This is a bear flag setup. This is a bull flag. QuantumScape. Yeah, see, this like picked up support and jumped. So this is what I thought a bunch of EV stocks last week looked like they were gonna pick up and jump, but now we're pulling down. So this could be another kind of head fake and pick up. That's a cool chart. Dangerous entry, but pretty cool. Yeah, fuel cell. I was just kind of bullying like a mid channel. This is a weird chart. Not super interesting. It's like breaking out, but where to support? Like if it pulled to support, it would look interesting. Aqua Metals. This one looked like it was gonna start bulling at support, and now it's pulling through. We got a little horizontal support here. Like this could be a head fake and pop. That's an interesting one in the lithium space. Aqua Metals like lithium battery recycling, and then Comstock is mining lithium and cobalt mining. And so this thing looked like it's doing a C wave where it should be picking up support, and it's blowing the support. It's blowing it. But I mean, if this is just a little head fake coil, like this could pop too. But as soon as these things, if they start releasing to the downside, like there's not much support. Like these things can really dump. Like if we happen to get a Bitcoin and a stock crash at the same time, like these little guys would just collapse. And they could be an interesting short play in that scenario. But for right now, nothing is collapsing. Things are coiling, undecided, and just trying to figure out where they want to go. And so like these lithium stocks are not good technicals. Almost all of them are not good technicals, including Tesla. And let's look at GME. GME is one of the rare bull flags. Like this is a bull flag. We got a really good channel. We broke above it. Really good pickup, right? But if GME takes off, I think it's going to come all the way back to the support area, this 120, 130 support before it takes off. And I'll show you similar on AMC. So like back here on AMC was the bull flag. That looks like the GME bull flag, right? Pop, come back to support, right? You get your bull support line. Then it went hot, right? But you come back to support before you take off. And that's a vertical rip, boom, off the bull support. And so GME looks like it's setting up something similar like that. But as for AMC right now, there's no bull flag. This is not a bull flag. This is bear flag down, bear flag down. And then this is a wave B throw over, which is a bear flag down, bear flag down, bear flag down. It's just bear flagging down, and this is a C move that looks like it'll go to support. I don't really like the technicals on AMC at all, which everyone says is related to GME, but the chart doesn't look very related. Like GME is a bull flag, this is not. Cost is just bear flagging, bear flagging. This is like a wave C also. So those are like those meme stocks that went crazy last year, but GME is actually doing a bull flag right now. It just needs to come back to support. Let me look at Senseonics. This is another bull flag. See pop, pull back to support here. See the big channel, right? And then we went hot. Now we're pulling down. Yep, exactly what I was saying last week, except we were like way up here when I was calling it down. This is not something I would try to short, but I think that we need to come back into support here. And none of this is investment advice, like, subscribe, all that crap. Leave a comment if you agree or don't agree. But I think GME and this one, Senseonics, these are the only two like really technical good bull flags that I can see. And we're almost to support here, but I think it's at like 250. And if we pick that up, I think we could see a big move here. I did a video with a really aggressive target because I like this channel here. But if we rip to that channel, it would be 250 to 40. That would be absolutely insane. That's like 20 something X. And if you did call options, it would be like 5,000% probably gain if you timed it right. That could be a nutty one. That's probably my favorite bull flag, better than GME. Although GME is a hotter looking flag. And GME has the meme mania the ability to absolutely break the whole market. So between Bitcoin potentially crashing and GME potentially mooning, if those both happen, it would definitely break the whole system. The whole system would have to get turned off, and like, yeah, who knows? Who knows? The markets would not be able to handle that craziness. It would be too crazy. Yeah, I don't know what else. What else is going on? That's kind of weird. Memes, blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Things like FCX is like copper mining. Like, these are things that could bull pretty hard on a wave 5, but we're looking for the top of a wave 3 right now on the stock market. Like, after that wave 3 pulls back, like, these are the stocks that come in. It's like FCX, like copper miners, like uranium could bull. And I mean, they have been bulling, but they can pull back with, you know, like a wave 4 pullback will pull these back. But that's like a great time to go into like copper, uranium, probably silver, like AG or Gato silver are two that I like. Yeah, and then I sort of almost along the same lines as the lithium stocks, because these have a pretty similar bull pattern to the lithium stocks. Weirdly, like TLRY and SNDL, for some reason, look pretty similar to something like Workhorse or Nikola. But like, these are breaking down through the support area that looks pretty good. And SNDL is not quite down to support, trying to break out. So like, these look like bullish setups, maybe, maybe, but they're gonna have to pick up really soon, or else they're gonna start looking really scary. And yeah, similar kind of thing. This is a weaker one, organogram. But yeah, in any case, Aquastic is an interesting one that's coming down to support and trying to break out now. And this is a different sector. Actually, this is a pretty good chart here. I actually like this chart kind of a lot. Anyway, that's a look at a bunch of like small stocks that have pretty interesting technical setups. And then the macro is, well, man, are we gonna go into? Well, it definitely has rotated already in, like, out of IWMs and into FANG stocks. Like, that's already happening, which is a safety play. Gold and treasuries have not broken out yet, but if gold and treasuries break out, like, Bitcoin's going to crash. And if Bitcoin crashes, the market is probably going to come down with it to some extent. And maybe the NASDAQ will hold up better, because it looks like it's a rotation into that stuff. It's definitely threatening a crash right now. There's a bunch of... Oh, you know what? Let's go... I don't know. I have so many random things. Treasury yield spreads. Yeah. I mean, the Treasury yield spread, whatever. Like, if these break out, like, treasuries are coming... The yield's coming down. If the treasuries trade up, the treasury yields go down. And that's going to be a shocker for Bitcoin, but it's also going to be a shocker for everyone that has talked about inflation nonstop for the last year and a half, because this is a deflationary move that will bring interest rates right back down to zero if this happens, which is threatening to do it right now, which is pretty weird. And it's really not part of the cycle. Like, the treasury interest rate cycle, I think, is totally broken now, and like, the yields just keep wanting to come back to zero. So that, I mean, that's a bold trade against everybody who's freaking out about inflation, because the yields crashing again is not inflationary. That's a deflationary signal. And the other thing that I saw recently is, well, like, during the COVID crash, we had a big supply chain problem. Like, we had a downward supply shock. So you have this gap between the supply, which came way down, and the demand here. But now the supply has come up, but the demand has kept going up. So like, the supplies are back up to where they were beforehand, or even higher now, but the demand is even higher. I guess just because everyone got scared that they could never get anything again. So we kind of I think we have a false demand wave now. But the whole time that everyone's been talking about inflation, we've had this supply-demand imbalance. Boom. If supply keeps coming up and demand starts coming down, they're going to meet at some point, probably pretty soon. And when that happens, we'll actually get to see what the inflation looks like. And if this thing is crashing to zero while that happens, that is like, no, there's no inflation, like at all. Like it's actually another huge deflationary threat at that point, which I'm going to call it. This is a deflationary freaking cycle. I'm calling it right now. Like I called the dollar way early, and I was right about the dollar the whole time. This one is even more bold of a call, but I don't think the inflation call is correct. I don't think it's right. I think they want inflation and they can't get it. And the supply and demand has been out of whack. We can't even see what's going on for like a year or so. But when that comes back in, it's going to come together during a deflationary move, and it's probably going to cross where demand goes below the supply because supply is pushing up and demand's coming down. Those are going to flip. We're going to go into a deflationary freaking pullback. We're going to go into a deflationary pullback over the next year. Nobody's calling that except me, I don't think. Well, maybe Jeff Snyder would call that. But that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like is happening. Although my the technicals and the macro stuff last week looked way different. Like last week, it looked like IWM was gonna bull. Like everything looked pretty inflationary last week. IWM was trying to bull. You know, NASDAQ is at resistance. You know, Treasuries looked like they were coming down. Like absolutely everything just reversed this week. So we just wait and see if these trends develop. But like every trend that I just said, if it happens, the knock-on effects are gonna freaking shock everyone. Everything's gonna trade in the opposite direction of what people think. And yeah, that's a bold call. And you know, don't mind being wrong. Whatever. I'm just gonna make a bold call. And yeah, Bitcoin. This is the call that I didn't even think about until I was working on this video. Is Bitcoin is probably the big risk asset of this bubble that is going to fall out during, like when the wave 3 tops. Bitcoin is going to fall out, and it's not going to recover during the wave 5. That is my call. That's my call, is the wave 3. We're topping out on Bitcoin and we're topping out on the wave 3 soon, like this year. Well, not this year, not by the end of this year. Maybe. I mean if it happens right now, then maybe, but over the next year, I think we're going to top on the wave 3 of this thing, of this whole bubble. I mean, the bubble's not really just from the financial crisis. Like, this is a bubble from, like, 1982, really. Like, this is a huge freaking bubble. And we've had tech, like, bulling up the whole top of this thing. But Bitcoin has been ridiculously bulling since the financial crisis. And, yeah, anyway. So you get that, like, wave 3 kind of pullback. And then you get a bull run. But, yeah, this thing could get really, really weird. It could get really weird. And I don't know. Yeah, it looks like the FANG stocks are, like, you know, the dot-com bubble, like, those tech stocks, like, got in all kinds of big trouble and stuff like that. But this time, those tech stocks are the safe ones. That should pull down less. But it's going to be all these crazy meme stocks that obviously crash out during a big pullback. And there's like hundreds of companies that have absolutely no profits or anything. And if we get a deflationary wave, like, they're not going to be able to stay in business. Like, we can actually have companies go out of business. Wow. Like, that's shocking. I think that's possible. And that's when fundamentals will start actually mattering. When you start seeing companies actually disappear and you see their stocks go to zero and disappear, people will start looking at fundamentals again. Right now we're in a phase where like fundamentals completely don't matter. And like I don't think they actually do matter other than that one threat. Like that's the threat is stock disappears. I mean the company disappears, the stock disappears with it, like goes to zero. And really every stock eventually goes to zero. Like every company eventually disappears. Every stock eventually goes to zero. But we've been in this period where companies can't go bankrupt. And that may change. That may change soon. This could be a really, really crazy year for all kinds of assets. So, man, trying to figure this out is going to be pretty wild. But anyway, I think we could actually be at a really critical spot right here. We could be at a spot where Bitcoin freaking crashes and, you know, stocks start pulling back. Like we could have a wave 3 pullback on stocks, but Bitcoin absolutely crashes. And, you know, you can have crappy stocks crashing. You could have, I don't know, these are sort of like energy plays. EVs and like, you know, lithium, and that's like new energy infrastructure kind of stuff that should be coming in as you switch into like commodity and energy kind of stuff. Like those might not pull back as much, and they might bull on like a wave 5 where you're getting commodities and energy and stuff bulling. Oh, I didn't look at oil. Oil's a really bizarre one. Where is the oil? I don't even know where I put it. Just type it in. Crude. Yeah, crude is just like through really, really nasty red candles. And everyone has been saying, actually did not short this, and I looked at it like 3 times last week, and I actually made the call and didn't actually do it. But it looks like just like a Elliott, you know, impulse wave 5 just completed. We threw a bear shelf here, so it looked way dangerous. We're coming into support. We just smashed right through it. So on oil, let's see. I don't know if oil rallies back up and does like a dead cat under here. I think oil could be in big trouble, and I don't know why. Like it should be. Whatever, who cares why? the technicals say it's in big trouble, so it probably is. I think there might be oil oversupply coming from like Russia and OPEC nations and stuff like that. Plus it's way up here, 80s. I mean, it just came from like minus 40 to positive 80 in like a year, so I think there's a little bit of room for a pullback here. I don't know how big, like I don't think it's going to crash way to the bottom of this channel, but it looks like, I mean, the technicals say 33, like 50 for sure as a target. I mean, if we did a C wave on oil on this, wow. I mean, it could go like boom, boom, like oil could do some crazy stuff. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. But hey, look, if we do a deflationary wave, if treasuries rip and supply and demand flip the other direction, like we could do a legit like deflationary wave, which would absolutely crash oil again. Like this can definitely happen. Nobody expects it, and I think we have oil oversupply coming on. And then we should actually get a commodity bull market, like a real one. Like this is a little commodity breakout, energy breakout. But after the next pullback, like we'll get the real commodity run, I think. Man, yeah, nobody's calling that. This is a really cool episode. I'm gonna put this on the. This is a really long episode. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if there's any like specific stuff that you want to look at. If anyone is still here, you're crazy, and thanks. And then, wow, we could see some big moves that shock some people real soon. This is way crazier than I was actually thinking. But yeah, this is definitely a week or two to pay very close attention to what's going on. For sure, happy trading, not investment advice, just, crayon eating, smooth brain entertainment. Happy trading.